state of Jharkhand in India. This is a story that has sent shock waves across the country. Crores of rupees have been seized from the residence of a household help. Reportedly, the house help of the personal secretary to a minister. What exactly happened? Who is this minister? What is the story here? Our next report getting you the details.
Crores of rupees in cash seized from a house help. That in itself sounds like a shocker, right? Wait till we get you the complete story. On Monday, the Enforcement Directorate launched a series of raids across multiple locations in the capital of the Indian state of Jharkhand. This led to the discovery of crores of unaccounted cash. A mountain of currency notes could be seen in the footage. Wads of currency notes seen in a room allegedly belonging to a domestic help. Whose domestic help? As per reports, the ED has recovered more than 20 crore rupees so far at the premises of a domestic help allegedly linked to the secretary of a Jharkhand minister, Alamgir Alam. Sanjeev Lal is the personal secretary to the minister. So who is Alamgir Alam? The 70-year-old belongs to the Congress party and is Jharkhand's rural development minister. He represents the Pakur seat in the Jharkhand Assembly. He also served as the Speaker of the Jharkhand Assembly in 2006. And what does he have to say? As per reports, Alam has urged patience and restraint in jumping to conclusions. He has denied that he has any links to the seized items and that it would not be right to comment since the probe agency is still investigating the case. As per reports, the raids targeted approximately half a dozen locations linked to Virendra Ram and his inner circle. Who is Virendra Ram? Former chief engineer at the Jharkhand Rural Development Department. He was arrested by the ED in February 2023 in connection with a money laundering case. Meanwhile, reacting to the ED raids, the BJP accused the state government of turning Jharkhand into Lootkhand. The Jharkhand BJP spokesperson has launched an attack over the raids, raising the issue of corruption, alleging that there is a plan to spend this money in the elections and that the Election Commission should take action.
Why is Nepal provoking India? The government of Nepal has decided to come up with a new 100 rupee note. Well, good for Nepal. It is well within its rights, after all, to print, design, redesign notes. Currency is a country's internal matter, but it becomes problematic when you use currency as a tool to provoke another country by staking your claim over something that is not yours. For example, the areas of Kalapani, Lipu Lake and Limpiadhura. These are Indian areas and this is where they are on the map of India. Then why do these areas feature on Nepal's new 100 rupee currency? The decision on the new notes was taken during a cabinet meeting last week, and chairing the meeting and overseeing this disastrous decision was Nepal's Prime Minister, Pushpa Kamal Dahal, Prachanda as he's known. And what exactly was Prachanda trying to prove with this unilateral decision? And on whose order and under whose guidance? Now, India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has said, and I'm quoting here, our position is very clear. With Nepal, we are having discussion about our boundary matters through an established platform. In the middle of that, they unilaterally took some measures on their side. 4 years ago, Nepal indulged in some dubious map marking. It included Kalapani, Lipu Lake and Limpiadhura in its new map. A constitution amendment bill was then passed by the Parliament of Nepal. The misleading map was legitimized. At the helm of it all was the then Prime Minister of Nepal, K.P. Sharma Oli. And the very next year, the Oli government collapsed. China tried to come to Oli's rescue. It failed. In March this year, KP Sharma Oli's Communist Party of Nepal entered Nepal's coalition government. Oli now has a sway and a say. Less than a month later, you have a new provocation in the form of a new note. Is it a coincidence or more than that? Also, I told you how China had tried to save the Oli government when it was facing an imminent collapse. China had sent its top officials, in fact, to Nepal. The Chinese ambassador to Nepal also reached out to the members of the rival faction within Oli's party to try to stop them from pushing out Oli from office. That is how deep China was in the game and governance in Nepal. And with Oli back in governance, has the Chinese influence in Kathmandu increased as well? In March, as Nepal's coalition saw a recalculation with the exit of the Nepali Congress and the entry of Oli's Communist Party, there was already a buzz in Kathmandu about who could be pulling the strings. Nepali Congress, along with other parties, pointed the finger at China. C.K. Roth, who is the chairman of the Janamat Party, said, and I'm quoting here, "The government was changed in Kathmandu under the influence of China and its ambitious Belt and Road Initiative." Oli was forced to clarify. He claimed China did not engineer the change in government. Now, cut to the note nuisance, one cannot help but ask, was this China's plan as well? Was the cabinet decision taken under Chinese orders? China will not be facing the consequences, Prachanda will. The Prime Minister is already, in fact, facing criticism at home. Reports say former diplomats are calling Prachanda's decision too provocative and uncalled for. Now, obviously, the notes will not come into circulation anytime soon. It's a long process. The cabinet's decision will first have to be sent to Nepal's central bank. Next, the central bank will have to come up with the tenders for printing the notes. The entire process could take about a year. But is it worth provoking India? India, after all, gives development assistance to Nepal. India was the first responder following the 2015 earthquake in Nepal. India provided 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine in grants to Nepal. During the pandemic, almost all of Nepal overland trade, and I repeat, almost all of Nepal's overland trade with India and the rest of the world took place through customs stations on the Indian border. India is the largest trading partner of Nepal. India accounts for about 2/3 of Nepal's merchandise trade, 1/3 of trade in service, about 100% of petroleum supplies. India is also the largest source of foreign investments in Nepal. Seriously, what was Prachanda thinking? Is cancer the next big thing for pharma giants? Let me tell you about the Pfizer CEO's comments. His name is Albert Bourla, and according to reports, he has said, now that the COVID-19 pandemic is over and global demand for its vaccines and coronavirus drugs is falling, Pfizer has its sights set on the cancer treatment market. He also added that the company expects to score big on blockbuster cancer drugs. You see, the COVID-19 pandemic brought about a business boom for Pfizer. Its revenue soared to record heights. In 2022 alone, Pfizer's total sales amounted to $157 billion. COVID-19 vaccine accounted for close to $38 billion of that. Now, the pandemic is long over. The demand for COVID-19 related products has declined, and so has Pfizer's revenue. In the year 2023, sales were down by more than half to $71 billion. The company's shares also took a hit. They have fallen by 42% since the end of 2022. This led to a major cost-cutting campaign. Pfizer laid off hundreds of workers at its UK, US, and Irish facilities. What will the American drug maker do now? What is its next big move? The answer is simple. It's going big on cancer treatment because, according to Pfizer, cancer is the next big thing after COVID-19. Speaking to the media, he said, and I'm quoting, "Oncology, it is our new COVID. We did what we did with COVID. We are very proud to have saved the world, but it is behind us now. We want to do it once more, and I think oncology is our best chance to do it. You see, after a rocky year, Pfizer is ready to move on from COVID, betting on cancer drugs to help it regain its footing. In fact, it fully integrated with cancer drug maker Seagen last year. And this has doubled Pfizer's oncology drug pipeline to 60 different experimental programs. With Seagen under its belt, Pfizer says it could produce at least 8 blockbuster medicines by 2030. It is going to focus on 4 most common cancers. This includes breast cancer, genitourinary, as in urinary and genital cancers, thoracic, which refers to lung, head and neck cancer, and hematology oncology, meaning cancers of the blood. You see, Pfizer has its strategy straight, and it might just work out in its favor. After all, cancer is a leading cause of death worldwide. It accounted for nearly 10 million deaths in 2020. That is nearly 1 in 6 deaths. The cancers that Pfizer is targeting are the most common types in the world. In 2020, according to the World Health Organization, there were 2.26 million cases of breast cancer, 2.21 million cases of lung cancer, 1.93 million cases of colon and rectum cancer, and 1.41 million cases of prostate cancer. Like I told you, Pfizer is aiming to produce treatment drugs for all of these cancers. Will it succeed? It did become a household name after the pandemic. It already has a handful of breast cancer drugs in development, and some of them are in trial stages. How long before they are launched? And if Pfizer is doing this and publicly owning up to it, the rest of the big pharma is bound to follow suit. The one good thing that may come out of it is we will get a cure for cancer. But at what price? Only the drug makers will decide.